everybody? Welcome back to Every Day is Friday Podcast 365 with me, your host, Maddie B43. Today we have a guest with an inspiring and powerful story. Shelby has faced some big challenges, from going through a major weight loss journey to supporting her brother after a life-changing accident. Shelby, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to
for
be here.
for our listeners that may not be familiar with your line of work yet, could you give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Shelby. Currently, have we have a family business that I help out with here and there, but as far as that right now, I am kind of finding myself. And I'm doing that, I guess, TikTok really, because I left my job back in June. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with my life at the age of 32, starting over.
Yeah, Shelby, you talk a lot about on TikTok your experiences and how do you hope to your stories help others?
Yeah, so I back when I was can I start from the beginning of my story?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Okay. So I've been with the same man since I was 18 years old, and we obviously got engaged at the age of 24, and at 25 I was like, okay, we're getting married. I want to have kids. And I had ran into some health issues prior, and the doctor had told me, well, why don't you do this surgery and you'll get pregnant right away? And that kind of just started my whole journey of things. Um, I went on to have that surgery and it did not fix or do anything. The only thing that came out of the surgery is I packed on weight, and I packed on weight rapidly. And I became obese, morbidly obese, according to doctors. And then that led into a whole nother journey. We started IVF, and we've done all kinds of rounds, 8 years of fertility treatments. Um, and throughout those years, I just packed on the weight, and I kept packing it on. And my last round, and it's kind of what led me to want to help people, is when I went through all my struggles with fertility and my weight loss and being morbidly obese, I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't have anybody to lean on. My friends were skinny. They were the ideal, you know what I mean? So I didn't have anybody. And so when I saw an opportunity to help people, I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I did. And so we did 8 years of fertility. We went through all that, packed on more weight, and not my last round, but what I thought was my last round in 2022. I got a phone call from a doctor that told me my IVF round did not take. And I told my husband I was going to do something for myself. And I was going to go get gastric sleeve because I had done every weight loss thing imaginable. I had done every diet, I had done every personal trainer, everything, and nothing was coming off. And so I did. I got that phone call. It was Valentine's Day of 2022, and I it's kind of emotional because I remember getting that phone call and them telling me it didn't take. And I pulled myself together after that call, and I called my husband, let him know it didn't take. And I picked the phone up and I called a gastric sleeve doctor. That was a Tuesday. By Friday, I had an appointment because I told that doctor I was not going to go through insurance. I was going to do self-pay because I wanted to take care of myself first. And it's crazy because when you go through 8 years of something like that, yes, the attention is focused on you because you're the one with the issue. You're the one they're trying to fix, but you feel so far on the back burner. It's not working. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. Why? And so I had gastric sleeve April of 22, which was the day after Easter. The day after Easter, I had gastric sleeve. And I had already lost some weight on my own because they put you on a no eat diet pretty much. And so I'd lost some weight. And then from there, that's it was like journey after journey just kept kind of going. And I started a whole new journey there.
That's unbelievable. I mean, Shelby, I mean, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own health journey?
Stop putting others first. Don't put others first. Put yourself first because at the end of the day, you don't get tomorrow back. And I've learned that a lot with this past year with my brother's accident. Do not put others first. Yes, you can put others first, but make sure that your health is a priority. Sorry, I jumbled my words. I got emotional about my brother. Um, but put yourself first, and when it's time to buckle down and really go headstrong at it. But reach out to people because it's the hardest thing to do it on your own. And that's why I've gone into helping people that are wanting to change their life around because I didn't have that. I did not have that.
Yeah, it's amazing, Shelby. Was there a moment when you realized that telling your story was helping others?
Yes. Um, so I got my gastric sleeve. I did all that. And the minute I could work out, I started working out because in my mindset, I had spent the money on it. I needed to make sure that I got my money's worth and it wasn't going to be a quick fix because there were so many people that I've seen do what I did and put the weight back on because they don't change their lifestyle. You have to change your lifestyle. And I had started getting into my friend reached out to me. This is how it all started. So my friend reached out to me and she was like, "Look, you're doing Beachbody. You're working out and you're using the supplements. Why don't you coach?" And I said, "No, I don't want to coach. I'm not going to do it." And she said, "There's people out there like you that are struggling the way you did and they need your help." And I said, "You know what? Just sign me up as a coach, but I'm not going to do it. I just want to get the perks of being a coach, get the discounts, right?" And so she was like, "Come to Summit with me. Let's let's go to Summit. It's in June." And I think this was like February. And at this point, my life is completely chaotic because that September prior, my brother was in a UTV accident and he spent a lot of time in the hospital. Sorry. Um, and so he spent a lot of time in the hospital. And I mean, we were there for 2 months straight, living there with him in ICU room with me and my mom. And so this was February, and she was like, "Just try it." And I said, "Sign me up. I'll go." I had no intention of going with her, but I told her I would so she would get off my back. I ended up going. My life's chaotic. I jumped full force in. I ended up going. And to see the inspiration and everybody there, I was like, she's right. I need to help people. So in one of our coaching calls, the thing was to make your why video. And I made my why video and it's on my TikTok. It's like 9 minutes long. And I didn't think it would resonate with anybody. I just didn't think anybody would listen to me. And the response I got back from that was wild. People reaching out to me stating that they're wanting to make the lifestyle change. They're looking at gastric sleeve. They want to start working out. They want to do this. They've gone through IBS struggles. I mean, they were messaging me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and I was just like, what is going on here? I didn't know she was ultimately my friend was right because there was a need for it. And that was the moment that I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing TikTok more and I'm going to start talking about my struggles and my battles. And I did. And then it just kind of, I think when I started that, I had like 2,000 followers. So, and now it's grown and we just hang out.
No, it's powerful. What keeps you positive when things get tough?
So, um, that's going to get me. Bear with me. Um, Oh, because I can have bad days, but I know, no, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
um, what keeps me positive is life could be so much worse. Life could be so much worse. Watching my brother this past year has really put a new perspective of life for, I mean, there were so many times that he shouldn't have been here with us from that accident. He, on paper, medically, he should have bled out multiple different ways. Um, he could have had a brain trauma. There's so many things that could have happened. And you know what? He lost a limb. He's had skin graft. He has medical graft. He had donor artery. He had all that, but I still have.
Yeah, Shelby, can you share what happened to your brother in the UTV accident and how your family handled it?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I get emotional, but yeah, so it was September, this is 24 and it's been a year, so it was September of 2023 and we were celebrating my birthday. Um and he went to go take my cousin and a family friend to their truck because they were going to go somewhere. And he had just left me. And my dad called me um, screaming. And I didn't know what was going on. And all he kept saying was, there's been a bad accident. I didn't know it was my brother. I thought maybe my cousin because they were going to his truck. And we got on our UTV because we all rode UTVs down to my friend's house, which is down the road. And I got there and saw that my cousin walked out. I saw my dad, my mom's car was gone, and my cousin walked outside. And that was the moment I knew it was my brother. And it was an overcorrection on a UTV. And when it overcorrected, it went over on the driver's seat or driver's side. And it took him about 250 feet pinned underneath it down pavement. And so that night, my dad just kept telling me it was bad. I was, my mom went to go take my brother to the hospital because we live in a small town. We don't have a hospital by us. And she was on the phone with the ambulance and they took him to a larger hospital. We beat them there. They ended up having to halo fly him. What we did not know at the time is that they won't leave the pad until he's stable. So they had to stabilize him, got him there. And pretty much at that hospital, all they did was they got him ready and pretty much stabilized because the next morning, the next morning we had not been to sleep. We were awake in the ER waiting room all night. And so it was now morning time and they came to us and said, he's got to leave here. We cannot assess him. And at that point, they got him to what is considered the best unit and military hospital that we have. And so they transported him by ambulance because he could not be taken by halo flight as he had rods sticking out of the left side of his left leg because they were stabilizing it because it was barely hanging on. He severed arteries and everything. Um, we then we made the transport that day on the 3rd. And that was September 2nd. So September 3rd, we transported to another hospital. We got there about 8:30 that night, and we'll never forget because they said, we're going to evaluate him. They took him back at 8:30. There were like 10 doctors outside waiting for him to pull in the ambulance. They rushed him back. We expected a 2 hours, maybe. He didn't come out of surgery until 6:30 the next morning. Um, and then that shined light on a lot of things. In that time, they had taken artery from his right thigh and put into his left foot and ankle. Um, they, where we live, the bigger city next to us didn't close up his skull, so his skull was showing. They said it needed to heal within from the inside out. When he made it there, they said no, so they did a medical graft on his head. And then they put wound vacs and they put rods on the left leg, but on the opposite side of the leg. And that started our journey of my brother knowing the severity of his injuries for about a week and a half or 2 weeks. He didn't want to know. So we knew the possibility of amputating his leg was very high. He didn't know. And so when the doctors would come do rounds, we would step out and shut the door. And then one day a doctor brought it up in front of him. And that started a whole new process because we had time to process the fact that he was more than likely going to lose that leg. He hadn't. Um, and we went through that roller coaster because he didn't understand it why at the age of 26 with his whole life ahead of him. I'm sorry. And he had to make that decision. But what it came down to is typically when things happen, I'm emotional, obviously. But I had no emotion when it happened. Um, because I saw the state he was in. I saw the state my parents were in. And so I cut my emotions off. And I asked the doctor point blank in front of him, if we fuse his ankle versus amputating it, what's his quality of life? And he said his quality of life is so much better if he amputates from right below the knee down. And so that's what he did. He made the decision because we live on land. We still ride side by side. Do a family diesel shot. Like if he would have fused that ankle, and he talked to multiple people that try to save their foot. One tried it for 3 years. One I think was 7, and another one was a year, and they all ended up amputating it. And in order to fuse his ankle, they would have taken muscle and fat and everything from his back because he had no skin. From his knee down, there was nothing to cover up anything. And so the other determining factor was if I lose, if I try to save my left leg, I take from my back. But if I lose it in 2 years, I've now lost mobility in my back and in my leg. And so he made the decision to amputate, and due to the severity of his injuries, it had to be a 2-step process amputation. So sorry, I get long-winded
No, it's an unbelievable story. It really is. I mean, how did your brother's accident change how you see life and family?
because on paper, he shouldn't be here. On paper, he shouldn't be here medically. They've all said he had angels watching over him. That's what it boils down to is those guardian angels and the fact that the other 2 people that were with him only walked away with what they walked away with. They, I mean, we're talking about a 6-seater UTV, and 2 people that were injured had to lift it up off of him, set it back down because he couldn't pull himself out. And my cousin told him, I know your legs don't work. Pull yourself out with your arms. And that's what he did. They lifted it back up again and he pulled himself out with his arms. And so it just, tomorrow's never promised. Tomorrow's never promised. And I can tell you when that happened, all of our lives in my family were chaotic. We were all living go, 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 work mode, we were workaholics. Yes, we're big family people, but we were more focused on our careers. And that just it stopped time. It stopped time. I mean, sitting in that ER, well, it actually wasn't even an ER waiting room. It was considered a family room. And sitting there and watching that doctor walk in and tell us we all needed to go in that room, what do you think happened? You think that they're telling you he's gone. Um, and I remember my dad arguing with that doctor because the doctor said originally we need to amputate right away. My dad said, "You're not making that decision. You're not doing it. I don't care what money, I don't care what you need. You're saving my boy. You're going to save his leg." And now it it's amazing to see we're a year out. Um, and I can tell you it hasn't been easy because he had surgery. Mind you, he has several different injuries on his right leg. They took from his right thigh again to cover up the ankle because he had no skin there. He had no tissue, no nothing. Um, so he's had several surgeries on that. And we went March. March, he had a surgery. I don't know. It may have been either April or May. One of those months he didn't have a surgery. It skipped 1 month, June, July, August. And then he just had another kind of accident and had surgery this week.
That's unbelievable. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Um, Shelby, I got to ask you, what's the biggest lesson you've learned through all these challenges you faced?
Say what you mean and mean what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say, and never take a day for granted because tomorrow's never promised. That's all I can keep telling everybody is tomorrow's never promised. And it's given me a whole different outlook on life. It's taught me how to slow down. I thrive with chaos. I like to go, 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 and I still do, but it'll teach you to slow down a little bit, take a breather, and that's just where we are.
It's powerful. It really is, Shelby. I mean, what's one of the things you've learned about yourself through all these experiences?
I don't, uh, well, I would love to say that I handle things well, but I don't handle things well. That's probably been the trickiest one for me because, like I said, when things typically happen in my family or somebody gets hurt or I'm an emotional wreck, when this happened, I didn't cry. I was cool, calm, and collected because I knew that I needed to be the eyes and ears for my parents. Because think about it, you have a child and they tell you one bad thing about your child as you're sitting in an ICU room. You get fixated on what they just told you. You're not listening to the things coming out of their mouth after that. And I knew that's what I had to be for my parents and my brother. I mean, my brother has a better half. Poor thing had just started. She's a kindergarten teacher and she had just started in a new district and she was 2 weeks into school when this all happened. So she only got to be with, and they have a little good girl. So she had to be at home. My dad had to be here because we have a shop. Like me and my mom sat with him every day. And what I've learned from it is I learned to cut my emotions off. But what I haven't learned to do yet is deal with the reality, which is why I get so emotional talking about it because my family, my brother, and our friends that are family, they processed this whole issue as it was going on. Till this day, I can sit here and tell you I have not processed it. I haven't processed it. And so that's been a battle with me. And I've also learned about myself that when life gets crazy or I internally panic and I may not show it, I throw myself into something more. I'll never forget. We did a benefit for my brother. We did a benefit for my brother. We turned around. I think we did a benefit for somebody else. We ended up doing another bit. There was all these benefits and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. And my mom looked me dead in the eye and she said, slow down. You're going too much and you're going to crash. And I said, you don't understand. This is how I thrive. This is how I push forward. And she said, I understand that's how you do. You've done it your whole life, but you need to take a moment. And so I did back down on a few of those things just because I do live in a life of chaos, but that's the only way I function.
I mean, do you think going through all these tough times have made you stronger?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even the sight of what I saw, I would have never been able to handle the gruesomeness that I saw on my brother. And it, it didn't go, it didn't do anything for me. It was like, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I look back now because he does have the pictures and I'm like, oh God, oh my goodness, what is that? But I think in every aspect, it's made me stronger, whether it be in my relationships, how I handle things. Um, and it's funny because people love to tell me that I'm wise beyond my years, but I think it's just because we've gone through a lot here recently, and I don't know prior to that, like 2 years prior to my brother's accident, I lost my grandfather and four great uncles back to back within like a 3 month span. And so it's just like, I strongly feel that that was leading me up to here's life. I'm going to throw it at you full force. And then bam, we're going to nail you with it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, life's like a roller coaster ride.
It is. And I always say you don't get much more than you can't handle. Hold on.
That's
It's a
that's
wild
true.
ride.
What advice would you give to someone who's feeling stuck on their own journey?
Don't be afraid to reach out to people because I take a lot of pride and I don't reach out to people and I battle it inside. I have learned to start reaching to my friends when I need an escape, when I need something, because I'm the type that I will suppress all of my emotions, all of my feelings. I will put everybody before myself, and then stuff just starts festering and boiling inside, and then I have a breakdown, right? And so what what my advice is, don't be afraid to reach out to people. You never know, one, what somebody's going through, but two, you may help that person more than you think. You may be reaching out for help from them, but in reality, in return, you're helping, like you're asking them for help, but you're giving them the help and you don't realize that. And I say that a lot on my TikTok is that I go on there because everybody gets on there and they're like, you're so inspirational. You're so like, you made my day so much better. But this morning, I did not want to get out of bed. I was dragging. My whole routine was off and I didn't want to do it at all. Not in a good mood. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get on. My mood from the time I got on to the time I got off was completely different. And like I told them is y'all made me that way. Y'all think that I came here to make y'all's day, but in reality, y'all are making my day. So just reach out to people. You never know what somebody's going through. Hold your head above water. Hold your head above water and just know that tomorrow's not promised and live life to the fullest. That's what I did. I was in a situation in a job. I had been there for 8 years doing something. And it was one of those things like the past 3, 4 years, I needed to walk, but I wasn't walking because I needed income. It's how life works nowadays. Like you need two incomes. And um, it was one of those things I finally just said, you know what? I'm doing me. And I did me. And at 32 years old, I'm sitting here going, okay, so what's me? So what's me? And I keep saying it's to get on a big stage. I want to get on a big stage and I want to tell my story and I want to inspire others.
No, that's really remarkable. I mean, I gotta ask you, what is the one thing that surprised you during your weight loss journey?
Um, I don't know, honestly. I think so much surprised me. Um, I was a very, it's funny because my friends say that I held myself very well even when I was heavy set. with the way I dressed and everything. But what they didn't realize is I was hiding. I wore cover-ups all the time, like kimonos and all those things to hide myself. And I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day, that, you know, y'all thought I was, oh, it's all my accessories. It's cute. No, the accessories and everything was because I was hiding myself. Um, and now I still wear it, but it's like, okay, I can wear a tank top now. That's awesome. And I, I was afraid of being judged, a lot. Actually, I was terrified of that. I'm not going to lie, because in my eyes, how I saw it is I was being selfish for making the decision to have gastric sleeve because I had not had children yet. Um, I was being, and that's just internally how I felt. And I spoke to my husband and my family and my friends, and they were like, you're not selfish. You're not like, get that out of your head. And so I really thought everyone was going to judge me. And actually been extremely supportive. And recently, within this year, I have, um, well, from this February on, I obviously lost 125 pounds. So I did have more surgery. I had a lot of weight, or not weight, loose skin around my stomach. So I did have a tummy tuck, and I had to have a breast augmentation to remove a bunch of extra skin because I was 125 pounds heavier. And that was another battle. Even though I had lost all my weight, I had put in all the work. Yes, I had gastric sleep, but I didn't take the easy way out. I think it was month 2 is when I was released to start working out, and I started working out. And I worked out every single day in the living room with my mom. Because we decided randomly, midst of COVID, we're going to sell our house because the housing market was crazy. So I was living with my parents again, because I didn't think my house was going to sell in 28 days, and it did. And I didn't have anywhere to go at the time. So I was working out in the living room with my mom every single day. And then after that, we would go run or walk 2 to 3 miles. So I didn't take the easy way out. I worked really hard to get where I was. And even at that, when I stood at my lowest weight, I was terrified of people judging me for going and getting a tummy tuck, going and getting a breast augmentation prior to once again have children. And they just came out and were completely supportive. And that's just, it just blows my mind. But I think it was because for so long, yes, I was the fun, outgoing Shelby, but what they didn't know internally, the accessories and everything I was trying to hide. I didn't want people to look at me. I wanted them to see my personality. That's why my personality was so large, because I didn't want them to physically see me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. What's your plans moving forward?
I'm not sure. I don't know. So what I do, the health and wellness that I do, they kind of just dropped a bombshell on us. Which it is what it is. The program is to help people. We're gonna kind of lose the team aspect of it, but we're kind of focusing on how we're gonna just kind of create our own teams, which we already have. But the health and wellness, they just switched to an affiliate program. So that is what I'm going to continue with that because I love their products and I love the workouts, and I'm not a gym person. If we can't tell from this conversation, judgment scares me, which is so funny as to why I go live every morning. I don't know why and how I'm able to do that, but walking into a gym full of people, I panic. Um, and so I like the fact that I can work out from the comfort of my own home. So that's one thing. And then kind of literally just seeing what goes on with TikTok. Trying to figure out if I want to continue doing accounting things, or what I want to do. Um, I am kind of working on, I don't want to say it's merch. It's not merch at all. Um, I'm making it for myself. And if people like it, because they've already kind of requested one of my hats, then it could potentially be sold to them. So I am working on, with 2 people, I'm working on a hat and a shirt design that I made. And then just hanging out, trying to figure out my life. I don't know what I want to do at 32. I think it's because I've worked from the age of 16 years old. I've had 2 jobs. and I've been a workaholic from 15, 16 to 30, almost 32. Or no, okay, yeah, almost 32. That now it's like, I'm kind of just having fun right now. And I'm just kind of figuring out where life's going to take me. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that right this second.
Amazing.
So
I mean, if you want to check out our merch down in the description down below, we have Every Day is Friday
I'm down
merch.
for it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. Like every day's Friday. That's freaking awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's I live life freely, and I live life every day as if it's Friday.
I love that completely.
Has anyone on TikTok ever shared a story with you? Like reached
Some
out?
have, yes. Some have with IVF struggles. Really, that's their main one. And if we got a little time, I do. It's not TikTok, but it is Facebook. And I'm really proud of it. If I can share it, it has to do with weight loss. So I had posted it was one morning. I think I recorded it for TikTok, and I was in my bathroom, like at my bathroom seat, no makeup, no nothing. And I'm like, why are you scared? Why are you afraid of committing and making the lifestyle change? And it was just a video like that. And a gentleman, and I ended up taking it to Facebook and I posted on my Facebook. And a gentleman actually reached out, an older gentleman, and he was like, you're right. That's all he said. You're right. And then the next thing was, I am scared. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of failing. I've let myself go. I've gotten to the point where I can't work out anymore. I can't do this. I can't do that. And he got very vulnerable with me. And he didn't know me from Adam or Eve. He knew of me because how I met him was when they held a benefit for my brother. Our family and friends held a benefit for my brother. He reached out. I guess he saw something on Facebook and was like, I want to make the staff search for the benefit. But I did, as far as knowing him or anything about, I had no idea about him. And so, he got very vulnerable with me and he was like, but I can't work out. I can't do this because I've gotten to a point in my life. I can't do that right now. And I was like, okay, well, have you thought about maybe, I said, my husband used to go to a Mexican restaurant every morning, spend about $25 and eat breakfast. I got him on our shakes. He's doing a meal replacement in the morning and he's lost 22 pounds. Is that something you're willing to try? And he was like, I'm willing to try, but I'm afraid of failing. And I said, look, I got a powerhouse behind you. We won't let you fail. We will not let you fail. We will be with you every step of the way. We will do weekly check-ins. Let's do it. And we talked for about 3 days and he was like, okay, I want to try it. He started September 6th and he messaged me yesterday or the day before. And he's down 33 pounds. He's down
Remarkable.
33 pounds. And it's because he didn't just do a meal replacement shake. He was like, I was eating all these calories in candy bars. Instead of eating candy bars, I'm eating fruit. Instead of doing this, I'm doing that. And it makes me feel good because I'm just on there rambling off, because the hardest part isn't working out. The hardest part is making the commitment to change your life. And that's what I was rambling about. And then randomly he comes up into my messages on Facebook and I've been able to help him change his life. And there's a few others that I've done that with too. I have some gastric sleeve people that recently I've helped with. So if you're a gastric sleeve patient, you have a hard time staying hydrated. Very hard time. You don't get your nutrition then because you can't eat, you can't intake as much as what you did before. And so, prior to when I say my life has been chaotic, it has been chaotic because I had my gastric sleeve and I had all these issues. And then, bam, my brother had his accident. I had to have my gallbladder removed after my sleeve. I had to have a hiatal hernia repair done after that. My stomach was in my chest cavity. They had to pull that down. And I was constantly in the ER for severe dehydration. And I was in IV bars getting IVs to keep myself hydrated. And finally, and I got on these supplements and I stopped the IV bars. I stopped going to the ER because I was finally hydrated. Like they were working for me. And somebody had reached out to me and was like, hey, this person has done what you've done and they're having a lot of issues. Do you think you can help them? And I was like, I mean, I can try. They're kind of new. I'm about 2 years out. They're like 3 months out of their surgery. We'll see what we can do. And I talked to them last week. Yeah, I believe it was last week. I spoke to them and I was just checking in just to see how things were going. They're no longer going to IV bars because they're staying hydrated with their products. And their kidney function levels have completely changed. And it's just, even in that aspect of helping them with that, but also I've been able to help people in aspects of fertility and doctors they go to, or, you know, for example, I can come to the States and do my IVF round. They're a lot more regulated. I did my last round of fertility in Mexico, and they were able to do a process called LIT, which is where they took my husband's blood and my blood, mixed it together for about an hour, and injected it into me because essentially I could be rejecting his body or his antibodies and all that stuff when it comes to fertility. So it's been cool to be able to, through social media, I've been able to interact with them. I've been able to help them on weight loss, or I don't want to say spiritually, but mentally, IVF, or, you know, going. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. We've met several families after my brother's accident that have gone through, and we've been able to be support for them. And so it's crazy. Like, we have a cross necklace that me and my mom found in the parking lot one night when it was a really emotional day, and we hung that cross necklace on my brother's bed every single day. When he'd go to surgery, we would take it off. He'd go to surgery, we'd put it back when he came back from surgery. And my brother passed it along to a kid that's 17 years old that had his leg amputated, that is from Arizona. So my brother passed it along to him. And then about 2 months ago, my mom texted me stating that that kid, teenager, has now passed it along to another teenager that happens to actually live only, mind you, we're from a small town in Texas, only live a few towns over from us. And they're originally from a town that's up to us. And he was in a UTV accident, lost his leg, same spot as my brother, by himself. And so it's crazy how social media and everything connects. And
No, that's
just,
inspiring.
yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
how has sharing your story on TikTok's changed your life?
I've actually met a lot of cool people on TikTok. Perfect example. One woman reached out to me because I was like, I'm very shut off to IVF. Not IVF. I have 3 embryos left. I will transfer them, but doing a whole nother round of it, I'm like, no, no. And she's like, what about Barbados? Would you try it there? Because their clinic's really good. We've done it. So that's kind of opened my eyes again to maybe doing another fertility round if my embryos don't work. I kind of started this thing because, TikTok got a little strict. So I just started playing music. I love to sing. I cannot sing. Um, and I just started playing music, and then I'll be like, oh, name that song. Well, that's kind of become a thing. And that's kind of what we do on my TikTok now. And by doing that, in the last week, I've actually made some really cool connections. For instance, you found me on TikTok. Like, I would have never got to meet you. And so I've made really cool connections. There's one gentleman that is opening for Joe Nichols right now that I've been able to make a connection with him and his tour manager. After I get off of here, there's a guy that's just trying to break out on TikTok. That's a singer that's living in Nashville trying to get out there. When I get off of this, we're going to go jump on live, and he's going to sing on my live and just kind of help people kind of get out there. I love music. So I don't know. TikTok's been cool. It's given me different avenues.
Shelby, if you could go back and give your advice to like your younger self when you're starting off on your journey, what would it be?
It's not the end of the world. it's not the end of the world. Because I used to panic about everything. Um, and I never understood why it, we used to, our family would say like, how are we not the lucky ones? Like these people ain't doing nothing and they're just, whatever. How are we not and but what I've learned in life is the struggles we've been through builds character. It builds character. You can't always just be book smart. You gotta have a little bit of the street smarts too. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
the struggles have gotten me to where I am, and
Yeah.
it
I
has
mean,
built me to be the person I am.
wait, what's one thing you've learned about yourself through all these experiences?
One thing I've learned about myself, I'm a giver. I'm a giver. I want to fix the world for everybody. If it's on fire, I want to run full force in and put it out for anybody and everybody. And I've had to learn. I've learned to you've got to step back and take time for yourself. That's what I've learned that a lot in the past year, a lot.
I mean, how did your personal struggles shape you into the way you are today in your channel?
Mm, I don't think it's kind of a trick question for me. I don't know. It's just me. It My personal struggles have led me to be able, I guess, to relate to a lot more people than what I thought I would ever relate to. Um, I could get on social media and only talk about one thing, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't do that. I talk about my whole life. And by talking about my whole life, it's been able to help everybody else. And so it kind of structures me to just be an open book, 100% honest with people. What you see is what you get. And I'm raw. And some days I may come on there with no makeup. Some days they're going to die when they see me like this because they're going to be like, girl, you put on makeup today for TikTok Live. Um, but there, it's just, I don't know. It's just led me to, so I don't know if you're familiar, but TikTok has a whole nother side and it's an agency, right? The whole agency side of TikTok. Uh, so there was this gentleman and he kept reaching out to me and I just kind of kept ignoring him because I was like, you're a fraud. You're fake. I don't know like, you're trying to scam me. I'm very weird about people reaching out to me on um, social medias at times when I just don't like, I look at their page, but I'm like, are you a real person or are you not a real person? And I finally went with them. And so I worked with them and um, his thing, he asked me, he said, when we had our first initial meeting, what's your purpose and what do you want to get out of doing this TikTok thing? And I said, I want to inspire others. I want to help people. I want to be able to tell my story. And if I can't get on a big stage, I'll do it on TikTok. But, and he was like, oh God, there's a but. And I said, there is. But Shelby can't be put in a box. I'm not going to just get on here and talk about one thing. We may be on TikTok Live talking about IVF, but then somebody comes in and wants to talk about amputation. We're going to talk about it. Um, we may talk about a high school party from when I was 16 years old. It's just, there's no putting Shelby in a box. I don't, and I talk about myself in third person when I talk about that because there's no putting me in a box. So that's it.
No, I
What you see is
appreciate
what you
you.
get.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Shelby, for sharing your story with us today, and it's been really inspiring um, overall, all
That's what
about
I
your
wanted
journey.
to.
And don't forget to follow and subscribe to the podcast. And you have any last words for us, Shelby?
No, just live every day like it's your last and enjoy life. Say what you mean what you say.
Yeah, go chase your dreams because your dreams will not chase you. And every day is
That
Friday.
that is correct. Bye. Thank you for having me.